Hey, Friendo, Steve here.
And Larson.
And welcome back to Hot Takes. We got some sizzling hot takes today, Larson. You look like you're freaking out because it's so hot.
So hot.
So hot. Make it stop.
It's like us playing basketball tomorrow. It's supposed to be 90 degrees.
That's nothing.
Too hot.
I can't wait till it's 105 out there.
You say that. You're talking all this mess. When it gets out there,
Oh, man. It's going to be great.
we're going to wilt.
Yeah, I'm going to Wilt Chamberlain. Anyways, let's go
you're
ahead.
going to say that. No.
See, look at that. You throw me the hot tag right there. All right, man. We're going to start off with this hot take, Larson. We're going to get ourselves into trouble with this hot take, Larson. It's who is this? Jacoby Wright. Sounds like a lawyer. Says WWE in-ring is the best in the world right now. Better than AEW, New Japan, etc., etc. Hot take. Man, look, you're all antsy in your seat because of that hot take.
Lift my chair up a little bit because I need to
Gotta digest that one, don't you?
So here's the thing.
Across
the board, regardless of promotion you're in, the level of in-ring wrestling storytelling, athleticism, has never been better than it is right now, I feel like.
True.
Which is better is subjective, obviously, depending on how you like your wrestling presented, because presentation is a lot of it as well. Obviously, There's a lot of wrestlers in WWE who can go to AEW and have excellent matches. Mm-hmm. Just like there's a lot of wrestlers in AEW that can go to WWE and have excellent WWE matches.
Mm-hmm.
So, this one's stumping me to a degree because I don't necessarily agree with it.
Yeah.
But I admit it's all a subjective take in that for me personally, the best in-ring wrestling on a consistent basis is probably in AEW. That's their emphasis.
Well,
that's what they emphasize. On Raw, here we get this point about presentation. On Raw and SmackDown, for the most part, you got 2 hours of SmackDown. Sometimes you'll have 20 minutes of wrestling across 3 matches. And not to say you can't tell an effective story in 7 minutes. You can, but on a consistent basis, I don't feel like WWE focuses on the in-ring action to the same degree as AEW. Therefore, I feel like since AEW puts more emphasis on in-ring wrestling and the match quality is generally across the board very, very good, I would give them the advantage.
I think I would too. I think that the gap is probably closing up.
It's not a massive chasm between the two. No.
I think there is a visible chasm. But I'll also say this, and I'm not meaning to sound like an e-drone by any. I mean, look, you said one thing in what you just said that I absolutely 1,000% agree on. There's any number of people in WWE. I'm thinking, obviously, Gunther's probably the top one. You got Ilya Dragunov, Carmelo Hayes. If they go over to AEW and are able to free up the way that they wrestle just that little bit, because I don't think that I think that there was a period of time, especially under Vince, where the WWE way of doing things really did sort of hold wrestlers back from having. That's why you see so many, like Danielson's matches are just kind of a sea change from what they were in WWE. They were really good in WWE, but like he's obviously able to do a lot more outside of WWE because he hasn't been there since Vince has been gone. And so I think that Triple H has loosened the WWE way of doing things
to a degree,
in ring quite a bit. But yeah, there are still like time restrictions and the level of experience in WWE, to a degree, I think varies maybe a little bit more than we see in AEW, at least from like, when AEW is pulling a bunch of people from like New Japan, they've been through the grind there for quite a while. So yeah, I don't know. I think that AEW clearly is where the best wrestle, and
that marketing phrase has worked on you, huh?
it's such a terrible slogan.
It's awful.
But they can be relied upon.
Oh yeah.
To give you every single episode of what they do, a couple of really good bangers, and I don't know that you can rely as consistently on WWE to do that. They've got the ingredients.
Absolutely.
I don't think they cook as much of those type matches as much as AEW does on a consistent basis, though. But the ingredients are clearly
absolutely there.
Ilya, the matches that we can get from Ilya on main roster, I'm really looking forward to seeing, and et cetera, et cetera. But so then you have like a 30-second Braun Breaker match. You don't get a lot of that kind of crap in AEW.
No. Guardian Ape here says, hot take, Jey Uso needs to add more moves to his arsenal. He has the aura and personality, but his matches are either very basic or he gets carried by his opponent. I've seen this sentiment a lot, that Jey needs to broaden out his arsenal of moves. Is this one you agree with?
No.
No one said. I didn't hear any of this before the match with Jimmy.
I don't agree with it. You know why? Because there's another hot take over here that says something along the lines of Jey Uso being as massively over. Here we go. Lord Blake Whitehouse says Jey Uso being the most over guy on Raw is way more important than him being a 5-star wrestler. So, like, I don't know. Like, I think this you're definitely entering into the realm of like, okay, what do you want? Like, what do you want? Because I know the Usos as a team, really terrific team. Mm-hmm. And they've been in WWE for a very long time. And I think figuring out maybe how just to be straight up a singles guy.
Yeah.
That being said, he is like one of the most popular guys on the roster, at which point you got to ask yourself, what do you want out of the guy? Is it, okay, he's one of the most popular guys on the roster. Clearly he's doing fine. He's making a lot of merchandise money. Now there's a subset of fans who are like, well, I want the good matches from him. I want the banger matches. And I think that's important for when you pay off big rivalries. Like, and I think you're right. Like, I noticed this more after the Jimmy debacle because it was not a good match. And people maybe are noticing it with like his other matches. I thought his match against Finn was I thought
the match against Priest at Backlash it just went down was there was nothing wrong with it. It was a perfectly fun match. Yeah,
it was a fine match.
Yeah,
it'd be interesting to see if Jey Uso can sort of go from the Usos as a team put on some 5-star matches,
but it's not like. Even as a team, their arsenal of moves collectively was that vast.
Yeah, I honestly don't think it has anything to do with the moves.
I don't think it does.
I think it's like telling a story as a singles wrestler in the ring that's really compelling. And does that mean he need to expand his arsenal? Maybe. I'm not a wrestler. But like if you want to get him to the point where he's able to put on matches as good as like Usos, the best of the Usos versus New Day, as a singles guy, maybe he needs time, maybe he needs to understand that psychology a little bit more going forward. But like, I don't know, he's the most popular guy that is probably on Monday Night Raw right now.
Yeah. And here's the thing that we've learned about Jey going through the whole Bloodline saga is he understands character.
Yeah.
He understands drama. He understands
he does, for sure.
the importance of moments.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Because whenever he was put in a position where he had amplified the drama of a situation, where a moment hinged on his performance, he always delivered. He gets that part of it. I firmly believe he understands the storytelling part of it. I don't think it's a matter of him adding 5 spectacular moves to his arsenal. Because I don't think 5 new moves are going to enhance his ability to tell stories in the ring, and that's the most important aspect of pro wrestling. Is telling the story in the ring. And if you could do that with headlocks and chops and tell a captivating story in the ring, that's all you need. And so I think it's less matter of number of moves he can do, and as you mentioned, really solidifying the psychology and storytelling of singles matches as opposed to tag matches.
Yeah, that's what I think anyways. But again, we're not wrestlers, so
we're not.
Whatever. Sometimes you just have a bad day. East Side Reviews says, while all would have been a fine addition, WWE's not lost anything from not signing Mercedes, Okada, or Ospreay. I will say this about Ospreay. I do think that they lost out a little bit on that. I think Ospreay is the kind of guy who could have, and I think Ospreay made the right decision both for himself, and I enjoy his work in AEW. I think it's awesome, and I think it's going to help AEW, and I want AEW to do well. So I'm happy that he went there. But that being said, adding another guy who can increase that in-ring stuff, and on top of that, he's just a terrific personality.
Yeah.
Adding another one of those guys, I think absolutely would have added to WWE. So with that logic, I think him not being there is a loss for WWE. I think they'll be fine, but at the same time, if we're being honest about it, like missing out on Ilya versus Ospreay or Gunther versus Ospreay or AJ Styles versus Ospreay, yeah, I would have loved to have seen those matches. I don't know if the timing is going to match up on AJ Styles, if he's still going to be around by the time Ospreay, if he does come to WWE after this contract, if we're going to get that match. So I think there are things that we've lost out on. I don't think WWE is, going to be any worse off for it if those two things can kind of coexist,
In a sense, it would have been pretty neat to have Mercedes come back to WWE. If primary amongst them is so we can get the 4 horsewomen WrestleMania main event.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that'd have been great to see.
Yeah,
and there's so many stories they could continue with her if she had decided to come back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and she did what's best for her in her estimation, and I won't argue with her in that respect. If she thinks AEW is the best place for her to wrestle, then by all means, yeah, I'm excited to see what she can do in AEW going forward, especially after Double or Nothing. And the one advantage in terms of those 3 names listed that Mercedes Sasha would have in terms of coming back is the relationship she's already established with the WWE Universe.
Mm-hmm.
The debut pop is pretty huge. That return pop,
yeah, it's pretty big.
That's pretty massive. So, of those 3 names, the one I kind of feel like they maybe missed out the most on was maybe her for those reasons. Ospreay will be a great match guy. I don't know if they'd fully embrace what immediately he has to offer from a character standpoint like AEW has.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And I don't know what Okada would be doing at WWE. It probably wouldn't be as interesting as what he's doing now with the new Elite.
Yeah, I really like what he's doing right now.
So... I think in terms of Ospreay Okada, they probably made the right decision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Going to AEW, and again, if Mercedes feels like that's the best place for her to go wrestle, happy for her. But a part of me kind of wishes that she had come back to WWE and could have continued those stories. Imagine her coming back and helping Bayley fend off Damage Control. There's so many interesting story possibilities there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah.
That, who knows if we're going to get to see. I know she said in an interview that she expects to go back someday, but who knows when that's going to be.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Let's see here. What else we got? I like this one. Officer Dude says, he says, it's a couple weeks late, but you can't have a feud where the story is who is the best in the world between 2 guys who have never held a title in your company. Not only does it not make sense, but you're also burying your world champion. Though not as big a burial as your world champion, have a 15-minute match with a jobber. I'll say this. We're talking about Ospreay Danielson. I get the idea here. I'm the best in the company. I'm the best in the company. Well, neither of us are champions. So, no, we're not. Neither of us are. The guy who has the title is the best guy in the company. That should be the guy. But it's also pro wrestling where and especially in AEW, it's kind of a different, to a degree, it's a different take on wrestling. Like it or not, they are appealing to a certain fan base who does consider the performance to be the best aspect. What makes a best wrestler is the performance, not who wins or loses.
Exactly.
Which is kind of a weird meta thing that AEW does, where it's like, I can put on the best match. You can put on the best match, or you can win the match. At which point it doesn't become about who's going to win or who's going to lose. It's just like, oh, well, I'm the best.
I'm the better performer. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a weird concept, given that it's like it's a storyline involving wins and losses and people fighting each other.
Well, it's supposed to be. Not in AEW, because that's where the best wrestle.
That's where the best wrestle.
That's where the best
Not where the best win.
No.
The best
wrestle.
Yeah, exactly.
So look at their mantra, their philosophy there, where the best wrestle.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Focus is on the performance of wrestling, not winning matches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah.
For a company that at its inception was so keen on the idea of a sports-based presentation and wins and losses mattering and the power rankings and so on and so forth, they brought those back for 3 weeks. Don't mention them. Don't know the last time they've been updated. This AEW, it is very much about the performances of the wrestlers in the ring. And people might not be into it. Understand. Yeah. But, if you walk into it with that understanding, and maybe it might enhance some people who might be hesitant about AEW, their appreciation of the in-ring product. I'm not talking about the creative. That's a whole other thing. But at least in terms of the in-ring product.
Yeah.
I don't know. It might not. Andrew Sharp here says more matches should end during commercial breaks to make it feel more unpredictable and real. Seeing WWE, that would work. It's about wins and losses. AEW is about performance. You don't want to miss any of the performance, so the end's got to happen during the actual televised show and not in picture-in-picture.
Yeah.
They did that in WWE once. It was Ziggler and Bob Roode in a 2 out of 3 falls match, and Dolph won the second fall during a commercial break. Picture-in-picture.
Wow. Okay.
And I was like, why the hell are they doing this during a commercial break? That's kind of an important story beat during the course of the match. And I think that's why they don't do it, is because if wins and losses are going to matter, then you need to treat them like they're important. They shouldn't happen during a commercial break, whether it's picture-in-picture or not.
I mean, part of me thinks like that's a good idea to do once in a while.
Yeah.
The other part of me is like, it's a scripted show. We all know that. But I do like the idea. Look, I like the idea based on, anything can happen.
Yeah.
It's live TV. Anything can happen.
That's one of those things they throw out once every other year or something, just to keep you on your toes.
Yeah, right.
That's fine. But if it's a semi-regular occurrence, no thank you.
Mm-hmm,
Yvonne Rodriguez here says Bryan Danielson is everything Bret Hart would have wanted to be in his wrestling career.
I could maybe see Bret looking at Bryan and being like, "Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to do." This is the whole. The main thing I think is Danielson's now got the freedom on a large stage to wrestle, to best wrestle. To wrestle the best, around the world, and
yes,
he's not stuck with a bunch of chumps in WWF. It's like Bret had HBK and Mr. Perfect, and then like a bunch of chumps. You know what I mean?
Well, he had a 1, 2, 3 kid.
He had Flair, I know.
He had like Razor Ramon. Scott Hall was a very capable in-ring worker.
It ain't like it is today, though.
No,
is my point.
No. I agree. And if I know people already think very highly of Bret, but if he got to wrestle in today's era.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'd be talking about him in the same kind of ways that we talk about Danielson now. I don't know. But I get the point of this is that when Bret, whether this was labels he put upon himself or this was marketing, the best technical wrestler, excellence of execution, all this stuff. And when I think about that, I think about Bryan Danielson.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Even historically speaking, more so than Bret. And I understand wrestling was much different when Bret was at his prime. And not so much emphasis on work rate as there is now. And he was always a very technically sound wrestler in terms of the fundamentals of wrestling, Bret was. It was just very few, from my perspective, very few of his matches rose to the spectacular. And you put Danielson against a great opponent on pay-per-view, he's going to put on a spectacular match.
Yeah, but again, look at who he's in there with.
No, I mentioned that. I absolutely mentioned that aspect of it. Yeah. But then
Luis Reyes-
you think about Brett versus Shawn for an hour at WrestleMania 12, and it's like, well, it's all right. It's fine.
Luis Reyes says Mauro Ranallo is in the top 3 best commentators of all time.
Strong disagree.
I don't know that he'd be in the top 10. I don't. And that's the subjective thing. Luis really seems to like him. I'm not into the histrionics. I'm not into the pop culture references.
No.
I like. I mean, he definitely has a good boxing announcer voice, and I appreciate that entering into pro wrestling. But like week to week on NXT, it was kind of too much.
It was too much. And Morrow here or there was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like if he just showed up for takeovers.
Yeah.
All right. Then it emphasizes the importance of the show because that's what he brings. He brings the gravitas like that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But on a weekly basis, it was too much.
Yeah.
It was too much. The Wallinator, I think is what this says. Gunther winning King of the Ring is a waste of the tournament when there are so many talents in and out of the bracket that would better use the win to establish themselves.
I don't super disagree with that. Gunther already has that long Intercontinental reign under his title, under his belt. I don't know if he needs King of the Ring. I don't know that he needs it more than Ilya or Carmelo needs it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you really want to establish somebody, for example, Ilya, Mello, even Tama Tonga. Heck, at this point, even Jey Uso as a main eventer.
Because it's King of the Ring. Like,
yeah.
What do you really get out of it? You know, it's not like you're winning the G1.
Yeah.
Baskin Charge says Gunther is better than Walter in terms of just the name alone.
There was something about a dude named Walter who would go in the ring and demolish people.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't feel like Gunther has that same quality to it.
I actually agree with this take. I think Gunther
has
just that cool sound to it.
I'm separating the names and the names as they relate to the performer. It's not Gunther is this performer and Walter. I guess I am to a degree. But you know what I mean. I'm trying to make a delineation between Gunther's success as Gunther versus Walter's success as Gunther. I'm thinking about it in terms of presentation. That's my point.
Yeah, Gunther.
Where it's a very stern-sounding name that you expect someone, he's going to come out here and dominate people with a name like that.
Yeah.
Walter, not so much.
Yeah.
And that juxtaposition I always found interesting.
Yeah, no. Gunther.
All right.
That's my only retort. Gunther.
I know.
How about this? Here's a move that Gunther likes, the single leg crab, according to John and Alistair voice. It's the worst looking submission move.
No, I feel like there's worse.
I feel like the crossface is worse than that.
Dude, I feel like half the time someone puts an ankle lock on somebody and it's like, all right, you're just barely tugging on that ankle.
Yeah. Figure 4, I feel like that's easy to get out of.
I've seen it's a Boston crab, double leg crab.
I've seen that in an actual MMA match.
Yeah, win matches.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah. We'll finish on this one. Daywalker says Triple H needs to get better at answering tough questions from the media. It's been a couple times now that he's given a vague non-answer that came across insincere. I don't want that to lead to him losing goodwill. Well, guess what? Already has. Those scrums are stupid. People throw him softballs. He knows that he can answer whatever he wants to answer. Nobody's going to press him on him.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
It's
a waste of time in terms of gleaning any sort of substantial information. If you want kayfabe answers and some fun moments like Cody and Jay after they won the tag titles, that's what those scrums are for, unfortunately. It'd be nice to have Triple H there at the podium and people given an opportunity to ask real questions about real things, not wrestling storylines.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Whenever that happens, non-answer. Non-answer. And that's a bummer because, you'd appreciate some degree of transparency when it comes to certain matters.
Mm-hmm, yeah, right.
And thus far, nothing in that regard from him. Nothing.
Yeah.
And it is disappointing. It is. If he's going to be the public face of the company, he's got to anticipate getting those questions and find a way to answer them instead of not answering them.
Yeah.
And it's been several times where he's been asked questions that people want to know answers to. And I understand maybe there's some situations like when the Vince lawsuit thing first came out. Obviously, WB is one of the defendants named in that lawsuit. So maybe he's not at liberty to say certain things. Just say that. Say, due to ongoing legal proceedings, I can't give you the full an answer. If that's the rather than the answer he gave, which was awful. We're focusing on the positive. No. There's a reason you can't answer the question. Just say it.
Yeah, it's all part of the pay-per-view in my eyes. I'm just like, it's media. It's the media scrum. It's not meant to be like, it's not meant to be a hard-hitting question thing. And as soon as somebody does ask a hard-hitting question, guess what? They're not going to be invited back again. So it's like, that's how I view it. I view it as, I'm not going to get anything out of this. It's
I understand that.
It's like he's walking backstage and somebody's got a social media camera on him. You expect those people to ask him a question. Like, come on, it's like goof. It's like not real.
It is not real. I know they've made it so it's not real.
Yeah, that's
so I don't really see it satisfies much any point then at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like Coliseum home video bonus content.
Virtually, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
And most people didn't watch that, or pay attention to that.
And I don't think he's going to lose any goodwill from that.
Not writ large, no.
Yeah. Anyways, that's going to do it for Hot Takes. Thanks, everybody, for your hot takes. We'll be back next week, hopefully in the studio this time, with more hot takes.
Well, I'm not going on vacation this weekend or next week, so I should be around.
All right, cool. Sounds good.